On today's show, can the Clippers bounce back against the Washington Wizards on the road? And what did I find about a consistent theme looking at our best lineups and which Clipper is undefeated right now and looking to make a bigger impact going forward? Going to be talking about it all on today's Locked On Clippers.
You are Locked On Clippers, your daily Los Angeles Clippers podcast.
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, sir. You were locking in with the Clips. Thank you for making Locked On Clippers the first listen of your day, your team every day. I'm your host, Darian Vaziri, born and raised in LA and in my 20th season as a Clipper fan. You can also follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Dime Dropper Pod and subscribe to my own YouTube channel, Dime Dropper, for even more LA Clipper, LA Sports, and NBA content. And Locked On Clippers is free and available wherever you get your podcasts, including YouTube, where I want you to let me know what you think of our best lineup. Give me what you think is our best lineup so far this season. Hit the subscribe button and hit the notification bell so you know every single time we post a video, you're home for all things Clippers. And Locked On Clippers now has a newsletter introducing the Locked On Clippers daily newsletter written by yours truly. One stop for ultimate team and league coverage delivered right to your inbox. Sign up for free now at lockedondaily.com. It would really be appreciated. That's lockedondaily.com and start your day with the all-new free Locked On Clippers newsletter. And this episode is brought to you by Robinhood. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. Sign up at robinhood.com/gold. All right, this episode, we're going to be previewing the Wiz game. Now, you might be listening and we've already won, hopefully. I really hope we haven't already lost because they've lost 12 straight games. Also going to be talking about, I was looking at some lineup data and I found a consistent theme with our best lineups. And the undefeated man, who is that? I know you probably can tell. Honestly, if you're not watching the visual version of this podcast, then I'm not going to spoil it. But somebody on the team is undefeated. And if you are watching the visual version of this podcast, I don't know why when I film videos in the daytime, my face looks super pale and like there's a bright light shining on it, but there's not. But apologies for that. Now, let's talk about this game. So the Washington Wizards are, to me, one of the worst teams in the NBA. They are a team that hit the reset button a couple years too late. They have our old guy, Michael Winger, over there running some of the operations. Now, let me just double check that Michael Winger is still on the team. Basically, they've lost 12 straight games, though. Yeah, he's the president of the Wizards. They've lost 12 straight games. We just won 5 straight games, had an unfortunate loss to the Boston Celtics, but we're still in very good form. So there's no reason why we shouldn't walk up right into Washington, D.C. and get that W and keep on trudging on this road trip in winning fashion. Because we beat Philadelphia. Okay, we lost to the Celtics, best team in the league. Let's get right back on track. Don't let the Wizards get any momentum. Hit them in the mouth right in the beginning of the game. You don't want to let teams that are desperate get momentum early. If you slack off defensively, they start making some shots. You never know. Maybe Jordan Poole has a 45-point game tonight. So you just can never be so sure. But they've had 12 straight losses. They are dead last in the league in defensive rating. That can hopefully really help us get going offensively. Because Norman Powell was listed as questionable for this game. Let's just assume he doesn't play. And honestly, I'd rather have him not play and just take another rest day, get ready for our next game. Because the Washington Wizards, we should be able to beat them even without Norman Powell. Now, this is game 20 of the season for us. A win would put us at 12-8 through 20 games, which by all accounts and compared to how everybody was predicting us before the season is completely overachieving. If you had told me no Kawhi for the first 20 games, I would have gone with probably 7-13. And everybody always says it's because you don't believe in Harden. And honestly, it's not. I really believed in Harden. I just didn't think Norman Powell was going to average 23 points a game. That's what I didn't think. And I wasn't fully sold on Ivica Zubac getting the touches. Like, I didn't know that was actually going to happen. So I'm really happy that we've leaned into that. And then I would say Kris Dunn has been even better than I expected. So that's been huge. I did say he was going to be a lock in the rotation, though, and some people were saying, is it going to be KPJ? Is it going to be Dunn? Obviously, we were talking about if Kawhi were to play. So they've completely overachieved in my eyes. But if we lose this game 11-9, I still think we've overachieved, but that would be a terrible loss. We got to take care of business. And I mentioned that they have the worst defense in the league. So hopefully James Harden can, match up Hunt, get Jordan Poole in some pick and rolls if they're switching that, get downhill and make plays. Maybe we get a James Harden masterclass in this one. And, one thing that's been very integral to the Clippers' success so far is that James Harden and Ivica Zubac and Derrick Jones Jr. and Amir Coffey and Kevin Porter and Kris Dunn and Nicholas Batum and Terrence Mann, all of them haven't missed one game. So, yes, we have had injuries to our best player. We've had Norman Powell miss 4 games and, of course, Mo Bamba. But everybody else has been very available. So that helps completely. As far as the Wizards, I haven't watched them play a full game this season. I mean, why would I? I've been watching some more games. I've been catching up around the league, but I'm mostly watching Western Conference teams. The Washington Wizards, nothing against their franchise historically. I went to a Wizards game in 2015. I used to love their teams with John Wall, Bradley Beal. But as I said, they waited a little too long to hit that reset button with Bradley Beal. I don't think they got a very good return. They're in rebuilding mode. They have some good young players like Bilal Coulibaly, Carlton Carrington, Keyshawn George, Alex Sarr, of course, second pick in this draft. But, I mean, they don't really have the young core of, say, a Houston Rockets or San Antonio or, that would excite you like crazy. They got Jonas Valanciunas. Hopefully he doesn't put on a performance like he did that one random night in the 2021-22 season in a game I was at. You can find the vlog on my channel where he transformed into Dirk Nowitzki for the night. So as far as offense, I really hope we can get some easy. I mean, younger athletic teams can cause us problems like the Portland Trailblazers did. I hope we don't get a repeat of that. We honestly have to slow the game down and muck it up with James Harden and Ivica Zubac. Heavy dose of high pick and rolls and a heavy dose of James Harden mismatch hunting some of these weak on-ball defenders. Their last game, they played against the Bulls at home, and they got crushed 127-108. Now, the Bulls are a team that are kind of overachieving a little bit to people's expectations, given that they lost to Rosen. But they lost by 19 points. Their starting lineup was Malcolm Brogdon, who was almost a Clipper. I love Malcolm Brogdon. And then Keyshawn George. If you're wondering, you mean Keontae George? No, that's the guy that plays for Utah. This guy, Keyshawn George, was the 24th pick in this year's draft. So he's averaging 9 points a game. And then you've got Alex Sarr, who's the second pick in this year's draft, 19-year-old, averaging 10 and 6, but he's only shooting 38%, and he is a 7-foot big man. So been a little underwhelming. And then you have Kyle Kuzma and Bilal Coulibaly, who was the 7th pick in last year's draft. So they have some, first-round picks in that lineup. Jordan Poole didn't play last game, so let me just do a check on what's going on with Jordan Poole. Don't want to mention his name if he's injured. Let's see. Jordan Poole is on the injury report for Wednesday's game, so I guess he's not even going to play. So, okay, the Clippers better win this game by like 20. We got to blow them out. I also failed to mention that the Wizards we're 5th in defensive rating still. Even after that game against the Celtics, we are still top 5 in defensive rating. So that tells you how good of a defensive team we've been. And even though we're 22nd in offensive rating, they're 29th. So should be a 20-plus point win. And hopefully by the time you're listening to this, we have already won the game or the game's going on and we're beating them up. Coming up, though, going to be talking about some lineup data and a consistent theme that I noticed. You won't want to miss it. I got to tell you a little something about Robinhood. You see, with Robinhood Gold, you don't need a silver spoon to eat up the financial favors of the 1%. Robinhood Gold allows others to get the rates and perks usually reserved for the high society. Now, the resourceful individual with Robinhood Gold can earn the very liberal rate of 4.25% APY on uninvested cash and be rewarded with a handsome 3% retirement boost on IRA account contributions. Robinhood Gold provides the privileges of a high net worth for any net worth. These generous benefits are now available for only $5 a month. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. Sign up at robinhood.com/gold. Terms apply. For product-specific disclosures, visit robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risk. Rate may change. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold, LLC. I got to tell you a little something about FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Right now, new customers can bet $5, get 150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. All right. So back talking about the Clippers sitting at 11-8 through 19 games, even though Kawhi Leonard has not played a game. Norman Powell will be missing his 5th game in this one most likely, but we'll see. Clippers are 3-1 without Norm, which has been super surprising, but it's just because their defense. Our defense is locked down, top 5 in the league, and you never know. We can move higher in those defensive ratings, standings. But, and I'm saying even without Kawhi Leonard, but when Kawhi comes back, ooh, let's just see though. We'll take it one game at a time, keep playing our brand of basketball, which is a lockdown defense, brand of basketball, and go from there and let the stats do the talking themselves as we hopefully lock some teams down. Now, I was looking at some lineup data just because now I feel like we're almost 20 games in. Got an episode. We're not talking about a game breakdown. Of course, you will get that on Thanksgiving, and hopefully we're giving thanks for an episode after a win. I put lineups that have played 20 minutes or more, because at one point I put 15 minutes or more, and we had some ones that were just like our best lineup was like Nico Batum, Kevin Porter, Mo Bamba. I'm like, how much have we really had of that? So the lineups that I've used or that I'm looking at, they've all played 20 minutes or more. And we've only had 7 lineups at this stage of the season that have played 20 minutes or more. The one that's played the lowest amount of minutes has the highest net rating. So again, sample size is to be considered. And it's only been 3 games where this lineup has been a thing. They've played a total of 21 minutes. And the lineup is, so it's been some of these games without Norman Powell, Jordan Miller, Kevin Porter Jr., Terrence Mann, Mo Bamba, and Nicholas Batum. They have a plus 22.6 net rating, which is the highest of any 5-man lineup that has played 20 minutes or more for the Clippers. Is there anything to take away from that? Absolutely not. In my opinion, no way. It's just too small of a sample size. 21 minutes, 3 games. I'm not even delving into what part of the games those were. These games without Norm, I don't know. I mean, and by the way, just because a team has your highest net rating in a lineup does not mean that that's your best lineup when we're only 20 games into the season. It's just that simple. But good for those guys. Now, the worst lineup of the 7 has actually only played 1 more minute than that lineup with 22 minutes played. And they've only been used in 5 games. That lineup is Nicholas Batum, and then 4 different guys. So the only guy that shares the lineup with the best one is Nicholas Batum. Kris Dunn, Kevin Porter Jr. as well. So Nicholas Batum and Kevin Porter Jr. are in both the best lineup net rating wise that has played 20 minutes or more and the worst one. But in the worst one, they're surrounded by Amir Coffey, Kris Dunn, and Kai Jones. Is there anything to take away from that one? No, I really don't think so. Now we get to the 5 in the middle that have a much larger sample size. Although the second worst lineup has the third lowest minutes played, 36 minutes, and they've played in 8 games, so they've played in more games. It's James Harden, Norm, Zoo, Derrick Jones Jr., and Amir. So is there anything to take away from that one? I would say this. Let's keep an eye out on that. So instead of Terrence Mann, Amir Coffey alongside James, Derrick, Norm, and Zoo, minus 16.6 net rating, our second worst of any lineup that has played 20 minutes or more. Now we get to the crux. Each of these 4 lineups has played 54 plus minutes. So this is a larger sample size. The lineup that has played the most minutes this season for us with 166 is our 5th best net rating out of these 7. They are a minus 10.1. And that's our original starting lineup of James Harden, Norman Powell, Ivica Zubac, Terrence Mann, and Derrick Jones Jr. So this is the first one where I can say this, I think, this matters. That lineup hasn't been very good. It hasn't been very good. And I think a lot of it is because Terrence Mann, if I'm being honest, he was hurt in the lineup. He was the only one of those 5 players that you can say was having a bad season. So that's why we made a change. It's that simple. Now, does that mean I think that lineup can never be on the floor together? No, I don't think that at all. I think we can easily, have good minutes with that lineup and then make those numbers better. But it is something that is our most played lineup this season to have a minus 10.1 net rating. Not as good as some others. Now, you see, like if I were to make this study 50 minutes or more, now we only have those 4 lineups, right? The one I just mentioned would be the worst of those 4. And now we have the top 3, right? In third place, they've played 10 games together and played 54 minutes and have a plus 10.7 net rating. So this is the first one that's really positive besides the nonsense first one with Mo Bamba. Nico Batum, Kris Dunn, Ivica Zubac, Amir Coffey, and Kevin Porter. So essentially 4 guys that came off the bench to start the season alongside Ivica Zubac. Why do I think that lineup works pretty well? Well, because you've got a shot creator in Kevin Porter. You have a secondary ball handler in Kris Dunn. All 5 of those players are having good defensive seasons, even Kevin Porter Jr., in my opinion. And you have an anchor down low in Ivica Zubac. That's one of our top 3 players. So it's good balance, and there's really good defense. The defensive rating for that lineup is 95.6. which is really, really good. So that's a big takeaway there. Now, the second best lineup has played in 9 games, and they've played 84 minutes. So a really solid sample size so far. And they have a plus 11.6 net rating. And that lineup is James Harden, Norman Powell, Kris Dunn, Ivica Zubac, and Derrick Jones Jr. Essentially our new starting lineup. So our new starting lineup has a very solid net rating, a 104.5 defensive rating, and the lineups with James Harden have the highest offensive ratings of the 4. Actually, no, because the worst one of the 4 that have played 50 minutes or more has James Harden in it. And this is, because that's the starting lineup, the original starting lineup. But my biggest takeaway, ladies and gentlemen, my consistent thing that I kept teasing at, the top 3 lineups that have played 50 or more minutes have Kris Dunn in them. The number 1 lineup for the Clippers this season that has played 50 minutes or more is James Harden, Kris Dunn, Ivica Zubac, Derrick Jones Jr., and Amir Coffey. They are a plus 19.1. It's because their offensive rating is the highest. partially because Amir Coffey is shooting so well from three. But it's funny because Norman Powell would be the other player. So essentially, the takeaway is our best lineups have been with Harden, Dunn, Zoo, and Derek out there. It's just Amir or Norm, take your pick, have been amazing. But the one lineup that was very interesting was that Nico, Kris Dunn, Zubats, Amir, Kevin lineup. I'm going to look a little closer into that in the coming games if we run that. But major takeaway is Kris Dunn. That's the takeaway. Kris Dunn has been involved in good lineups because he has made such a great difference on both ends of the floor, but mainly the defensive end of the floor. But there you go. Now, coming up, we're going to talk about Mr. Undefeated. I got to tell you a little something about Built. If you're a renter, I'd start taking advantage of Built if I were you. Here's the thing. We earn points on groceries, travel, and practically everything else we buy. But we should also be earning points on rent, one of our biggest monthly expenses. Built changed the game by letting renters earn high-value points on rent and around their neighborhood. With the seasons changing, I'm already dreaming of a warm weather giveaway. I love using points for travel, and I'm always looking for ways to earn more to book my next flight. There's no cost to join Built, and as a member, you'll earn valuable points on rent on your everyday spending. Built points can be transferred to your favorite hotels and airlines, and even the ones you haven't heard of. There are over 500 airlines and 700,000 hotels and properties around the world you can redeem your Built points toward. Points can also be redeemed towards a future rent payment and unique experiences that only Built members can access. So if you're not earning points on rent, my question is, why not? Start earning points on rent you're already paying by going to joinbuilt.com/lockedonnba. That's joinbilt.com/lockedonnba. Make sure to use our URL so they know we sent you. Joinbuilt.com/lockedonnba to start earning points on your rent payments today. All right, so Wizards Clippers, hopefully we get a win. No Jordan Poole, maybe no Norman Powell, regardless, with our new starting lineup that has such a great net rating, and Kris Dunn being the guy that's been the consistent theme in our top three lineups that have played 50 or more minutes so far this season. I feel confident that we're going to get it done. Now, a guy that is undefeated so far this season is Mo Bamba, 5-0. He was kept out of the second night of a back-to-back against the Celtics, but he should be active. He's listed as questionable on Wednesday, but he should be active against the Wizards. And if he is, hopefully he can continue that undefeated stretch. And why do I think he's undefeated? Well, I think he's also, played some games where we were the favorite. But he's looked like a more secure set of hands on the glass and just kind of knowing NBA game speed. I think Kai Jones is still a little frantic, out of control, looks a little all over the place, has some lapses in concentration when it comes to knowing our scheme defensively and whatnot. And also I've noticed about Kai Jones, he doesn't make contact on his screens. If he makes contact on his screens, considering his vertical threat rolling to the basket, I feel like that would be huge. But, the thing about Kai is he didn't really fully get a chance to get through the growing pains of rotation minutes on a solid team because he was kind of slowly yanked from the rotation by Ty Lue and his minutes were reduced. And we had a lot of fans, including myself, that were saying, we should continue to play him. He gives us a vertical threat. He gives us a second big, can rebound. He's active. But Ty Lue clearly saw something, and the coaching staff saw something that they didn't really trust. They didn't feel that, secure with. So, and Mo Bamba was always the plan. He's the one on a standard contract. Kai Jones ended up getting that last two-way contract. And Mo Bamba, from his first game against the Utah Jazz, he was an impact on both ends of the floor, finishing around the basket. his athleticism just being a breath of fresh air. Not to say that Kai Jones isn't athletic, but Mo Bamba just looks taller out there. His wingspan is crazy. And so far, Mo Bamba is averaging 6 points and 5 rebounds off the bench, which is solid from your backup big. Get in, make an impact, get some rebounds. He's shooting 50% from the field. 3-ball hasn't come around yet, 27% there. I'm still not fully convinced that he's a great 3-point shooter, but last year he shot a career high 39% from 3, and in 2023 he shot 40% from 3 when he was with the Magic, 31 with the Lakers. So, yeah. I've been happy with him so far. And the fact that he's undefeated, I mean, more power to him. Hopefully that continues and we can be 6-0 with him when we beat the Wizards. If we beat the Wizards, but I'm going to say when we beat the Wizards. I'm going to put confidence in our guys. Now, let's see. Is there anything else? What was I going to say? I feel like I had something. Oh, yeah. Brandon Boston and Moussa Diabate are getting minutes on their teams and are doing really well. Now, granted, their teams aren't too great, but I was watching Brandon Boston, and I just don't like that we let him go because I knew there was an NBA player in there. And yes, he's playing and getting good minutes and hooping for an injured team that's losing every game. And that doesn't mean that he would even have had minutes necessarily for us, but I don't know. I wanted to keep him around because I knew there was a talent in there. But the question is, where does Brandon fit in our rotation? I guess, would you rather have him over KPJ? Maybe that's a question. He's not as good in pick and roll, though, but I'm seeing him make reads now. I was watching games. He was making, drive and kick reads and pick and roll. So, again, it just shows you the confidence. He only got garbage minutes. Of course, he's not going to do great in garbage minutes. So I also say that to say have some more grace with the people that are saying Bones Highland sucks because, in garbage minutes he's not producing. Yes, that doesn't mean that he would produce in regular minutes, but garbage time and those minutes are never enough to build a rhythm or a confidence for you to judge a player, in my opinion. So I guess my final question is, Brandon Boston, would you play him over KPJ had we kept him? Let me know. And also, what do you think was our best lineup? I hope you commented that before I actually revealed our net rating best lineup. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at DimeDropperPod. Subscribe to my own YouTube channel, Dime Dropper, where I will be live directly after the game to break it down. And Locked On Clippers is free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure you subscribe, hit the notification bell so you know every single time we post a video. And if you can't listen or if you can't watch the video, you can always find it wherever you get your podcasts. And of course, as I mentioned at the top of the show, your favorite podcast now has a newsletter. It's only 500 words, written by yours truly. The Locked On Clippers daily newsletter really helps if you subscribe. One stop for ultimate team and league coverage delivered right to your inbox. Sign up for free now at lockedondaily.com. That's lockedondaily.com and start your day with the free all-new Clippers. No, the all-new free Locked On Clippers newsletter. Clippers, Wizards. The age-old proverb continues. Go Clippers.